Today's story comes from the dusty fields of an old village, and it is about a tired farmer, an aging donkey, and a well that everyone had forgotten about. On the surface, it is a simple story, but hidden inside it is one of the oldest truths human beings keep forgetting and rediscovering: that the same dirt thrown to bury you can become the floor you rise on. That is how life often works. It is not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it. Some people are crushed by pain, while others learn to turn that same pain into a step. That every setback can be a setup for a comeback. That you cannot stop the waves crashing into your life, but you can learn to surf them. If you stay with this story until the very end, you may look at the heaviest things in your own life, the failures, the rejections, the wounds you still carry, with completely new eyes. Because what happened in that dry well is happening right now to almost every person who is still breathing. Most of us are being buried by the very things that were meant to lift us. We carry them on our backs instead of stepping on them. There is a saying, the wound is the place where the light enters you. But for that light to enter, we must stop clinging to the pain that keeps us trapped. Because you can't reach for anything new if your hands are still full of yesterday's junk. So take a breath, set aside whatever has been weighing on your mind today, and stay with me till the very end. Because somewhere along the way, this old donkey is going to ask you a question you have been avoiding. What if the very thing you have been crying about, complaining about, and praying to escape is actually the thing trying to lift you higher? In a dry village, surrounded by fields, thorn bushes, and dusty paths, there lived an old farmer with an old donkey. For many years, the donkey had worked beside the farmer. It had carried sacks of grain from the field, bundles of firewood from the edge of the forest, pots of water from distant wells, and tools from one patch of land to another. In its younger days, it had been strong, steady, and useful. It knew every path around the village, every shade-giving tree near the fields, and every rough stone on the narrow roads. But time had changed everything. The donkey's back had bent, its legs had grown weak, its steps had become slow. Sometimes it stopped in the middle of the path to breathe. Sometimes it stumbled under even a small load. The farmer still gave it food and shelter, but deep in his heart, he knew the animal could no longer work as it once did. Yet, the donkey was not useless to him. It was part of his life. It had stood with him through seasons of rain and seasons of drought. It had seen good harvests and empty barns. It had walked behind him in silence when he had nothing, and it had carried his grain when the fields were kind. One hot afternoon, when the sun was high and the fields were silent, the old donkey wandered near an unused well behind the farmer's land. The well had been dry for many years, its stones were cracked, grass grew around its broken edge. Children were warned not to play near it, and animals usually stayed away from it. But that day, the donkey stepped too close. The soil near the edge was loose. Suddenly, the ground broke beneath its feet. With a frightened cry, the donkey slipped and fell deep into the well. Dust rose into the air. A few stones rolled down after it. Then, from the darkness below, came a loud, painful bray. The farmer heard the sound from the field and came running. He reached the well, bent over the edge, and looked down. Far below, in the narrow darkness, the donkey stood trembling. Its body was scratched, its legs were shaking, and its frightened cries echoed against the stone walls. The farmer's heart tightened. He did not immediately give up. He ran back to his hut and returned with the rope. He lowered it carefully into the well and called to the donkey, hoping it would remain still. But the donkey was scared. It moved from side to side, kicking at the loose earth beneath its feet. The farmer tried to make a loop with the rope. He tried to lower it around the donkey's body. He leaned over the edge until his chest pressed against the stone. He pulled with all his strength, but the rope slipped. The donkey cried louder. Again, the farmer tried. He tied another knot. He lowered the rope again. He pulled again. But the well was too deep, the animal too heavy, and the farmer too old to lift it alone. His hands began to burn. His shoulders ached. Sweat ran down his face. Still, he tried one more time, because this donkey had served him for years. But the rope slipped again. The farmer stepped back, breathing heavily. His heart was filled with worry and helplessness. He knew he could not do it alone. So he called a few neighbors. They came with ropes, wooden poles, and long sticks. Some carried baskets. Some brought old cloth to tie around the rope. They gathered around the well and looked down. The donkey cried again from the darkness. The neighbors felt sorry for it. Together, they began trying to rescue it. One person lowered a rope. Another held the edge. Another tried to guide the loop around the donkey's body. They spoke loudly, giving each other instructions. They pulled from one side, then from another. They tried to use poles to hold the donkey steady, but every attempt failed. The donkey panicked whenever the rope touched it. The rope slipped from its back. The walls of the well crumbled when the men pulled too hard. More dirt fell down. One neighbor nearly slipped while leaning over the edge. Another dropped his pole into the well. Their hands became sore. Their hope grew weaker. Still they tried again and again, but nothing worked. After a long time, everyone stood in silence. No one spoke at first. The farmer looked down at the donkey. The donkey looked up from the bottom of the well, tired and afraid. The farmer then looked at the well itself. It had been useless for years. It gave no water. Its stones were broken. Its mouth had become dangerous. Anyone could fall into it one day. And now the old donkey was trapped inside it, too weak to climb, too heavy to lift, and too frightened to be pulled safely. A painful thought entered the farmer's mind. He did not want to say it, but he felt there was no other way. With a heavy voice, he said, "This well is dry and dangerous. It has been useless for years, and the donkey is too old to work much longer. We have tried everything. We cannot lift it out." The neighbors lowered their eyes. They understood what he meant. It was a hard decision. No one was happy about it. But after all their failed attempts, they believed there was no option left. They decided to fill the well with earth. Slowly, the neighbors picked up their shovels. The farmer stood still for a moment, unable to move. Then, with a heavy heart, he lifted a basket of soil and threw it into the well. The first load of dirt fell on the donkey's back. The donkey screamed. Another shovelful came down, then another. The donkey cried louder and louder. It could not understand why the hands that had tried to save it were now throwing earth upon it. Each clump of dirt felt like betrayal. Each sound from above felt like the end of hope. The farmer turned his face away. The neighbors continued shoveling. Earth fell into the well again and again. Dust filled the air. The donkey's cries rose from below, full of fear and pain. Then, after some time, the cries suddenly stopped. The silence frightened the farmer more than the crying. He raised his hand, and the neighbors stopped. For a moment, no one moved. The farmer slowly walked to the edge of the well and looked down, expecting to see the donkey buried under the soil. But what he saw made him stare in disbelief. The donkey was still standing. Every time a load of dirt fell on its back, it shook its body. The soil slipped off and fell around its feet. Then the donkey stepped on top of it. Another shovelful of earth fell. The donkey shook it off. Then it stepped higher. Again, dirt fell. Again, the donkey shook it off. Again, it stepped higher. The farmer's eyes widened. The neighbors leaned closer and watched in wonder. What they had thrown to bury the donkey was becoming the very ground beneath its feet. The farmer whispered, "Look." The neighbors did not speak. They only watched. The donkey had found a way. It did not carry the dirt on its back. It did not remain crushed beneath it. It shook off every burden and turned it into a step. The men began shoveling again, but now their hearts were different. At first, every load of earth had felt like a final goodbye. Now, every load seemed like a chance. The donkey understood nothing of human decisions, but it understood one simple truth. If it allowed the dirt to remain on its back, it would be buried. But if it shook it off and stepped on it, it could rise. So it kept doing the only thing it could do: shake it off, step up. Shake it off, step up. Stage by stage, the donkey rose. The bottom of the well became a small mound. The small mound became a rising floor. The rising floor became a path. Slowly, the dark pit became less deep. The donkey's head came closer to the opening. Its tired legs trembled, but it did not stop. Dirt fell, and it shook. More dirt fell, and it stepped. The same earth that should have covered it became a path beneath it. The farmer watched, with tears in his eyes. He had thought the donkey was too old to save. He had thought the well was too deep. He had thought the situation was finished. But the old donkey was teaching everyone a lesson without speaking a single word. At last, the well was almost full. One final basket of earth fell in. The donkey shook it off one last time, placed its hoof firmly on the raised ground, and climbed over the edge of the well. For a moment, it stood outside in the sunlight, covered in dust, breathing heavily, but alive. The farmer and the neighbors stood speechless. The old donkey looked tired, but its eyes were calm. It had walked out of the very place where everyone thought it would die. The farmer stepped forward slowly and touched its dusty neck. His heart was filled with shame, wonder, and gratitude. The neighbors stood around quietly, unable to forget what they had seen. That day, the old donkey did more than escape a well. It showed them how to face life. In life, there will be times when burdens fall on us like heavy earth. People may throw words at us. Failure may fall on us. Regret may cover us. Pain from the past may try to bury our peace. Sometimes, even those who once tried to help us may become helpless themselves. But we do not have to carry everything that falls on us. We can shake it off. We can step on it. We can rise. The dirt thrown at the donkey could have buried it. Instead, it became the floor it walked out on. And so it is with life. The same hardship that seems meant to destroy us can become the foundation that makes us stronger. The same pain that tries to pull us down can become a step toward freedom. The same past that feels heavy on our back can become wisdom beneath our feet. The lesson is simple but powerful. Do not carry what life throws at you forever. Shake it off, step higher, and keep rising. Now, think about this for a moment. How many times in your own life has something heavy fallen on your back without warning? A job that ended, a relationship that broke, a friend who betrayed you, a dream that quietly fell apart, a loss you did not see coming. In that moment, it felt like the sky itself was being shoveled onto your shoulders. And like the old donkey in the well, your first instinct was probably to cry out, to panic, to ask why this was happening to you. But here is the deepest truth the story carries. The dirt itself was never the problem. What mattered was whether the donkey carried it or stepped on it. A great thinker once said that the wound is the place where the light enters you. Another reminded us that what does not kill you makes you stronger. These are not just pretty words. They are the exact lesson that old donkey lived out in the dark of that well. It refused to let the Lord define it. It chose to turn its wounds into wisdom. Look closely at the lives of people you admire. Every one of them, every single one, has been buried at some point. They were thrown into a well of failure, of grief, of public shame, of betrayal. The world shoveled dirt on them, and most people expected them to stay buried. But they did one quiet thing, again and again. They shook it off and they stepped up. As the old proverb says, fall 7 times, stand up 8. They understood deep in their bones that the struggle they were in today was developing the strength they would need tomorrow. And here is something even more powerful. The donkey did not need to understand the men above. It did not need an explanation. It did not need an apology. It simply refused to let what fell on its back stay on its back. Because you cannot reach for anything new if your hands are still full of yesterday's junk. You cannot rise into your future while still clutching the pain of your past. He who has a why to live, the wise ones say, can bear almost anyhow. But first, you must put down what no longer belongs to you. So what does shaking it off look like in your own life? It looks like forgiving the person who hurt you, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve to be free. It looks like getting up the morning after failure and doing the work anyway. It looks like refusing to carry a story of bitterness for one more day. It looks like saying, yes, this happened to me, but it is not who I am, and it is not where I end. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Rise above the storm, and you will find the sunshine waiting on the other side. This story carries 4 movements. 1. You will be thrown into wells. Life puts you in places you didn't choose. Failures, losses, betrayals. Seasons where even the people who once tried to help you seem to be making things worse. The well is not a mistake to fix. It's a reality to face. 2. Rescue from outside often fails. The farmer tried, the neighbors tried. Ropes, poles, effort, goodwill, none of it worked. There comes a point in every hard season when no one can pull you out. The help you waited for cannot reach you. That is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of the real lesson. 3. What feels like burial is often material. The dirt was meant to end the donkey. Instead, it became the floor. Pain, criticism, regret, hardship. These arrived looking like endings. But the same weight that threatens to bury you if you refuse to carry it on your back becomes the thing you stand on. Hardship is not the opposite of growth. Untransformed, it buries. Transformed, it elevates. 4. The transformation is internal, not external. The donkey didn't change the people throwing dirt. It didn't argue, didn't resist, didn't wait for them to stop. It changed what it did with what fell on it. That is the entire shift, and it is always available no matter how deep the well. Dear ones, rise above the storm and you will find the sunshine. The storm is not always there to destroy you. Sometimes it comes to reveal the strength you never knew you had. Sometimes the very thing you thought was pushing you down is preparing the ground beneath your feet. That is why we must never forget. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. What looks like the end may be the beginning of a new path. What feels like failure may be training. What feels like rejection may be redirection. What feels like a closed door may be life protecting you from a place you were never meant to stay. The struggle you are in today is developing the strength you need tomorrow. So do not hate the struggle too quickly. Do not curse the difficult season too soon. One day, the patience you built in pain will help you stand in peace. The courage you developed in darkness will help you walk in light. Life will not always become calm just because you want it to. People will not always understand you. Plans will not always work. Problems will not always disappear. But you cannot stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. You may not control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond. You can choose your attitude. You can choose your next step. You can choose not to be buried. And remember this, our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. The donkey's greatness was not that it avoided the well. It fell. It was frightened. It was covered in dust. But it rose anyway. So whatever is being shoveled onto your back today, the criticism, the failure, the regret, the heartbreak, do not let it bury you. Let it become the floor you step on. Shake it off, step higher, and keep rising. We create these wisdom stories for all of us. For you, for me, for everyone walking through this noisy, busy world. The truth is, most of us are already wise enough to know these lessons deep within. We have heard them before. We have lived them before. But somewhere along the way, in the rush of daily life, in the weight of bills, deadlines, and endless worries, we quietly forget. These stories are not here to teach you something new. They are here to gently wake up the wisdom that has always been sleeping inside you. Through every story we share, we try to bring back a little hope, a little smile, a little happiness, and a little joy into your day. And we need your support to keep spreading this happiness to the world. If the story touched your heart, even in the smallest way, please like and share this video so it can reach someone who is silently struggling at the bottom of their own well today. Subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so we can keep showing up in your life with stories that remind you who you really are. Now, I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments below, what is one heavy thing life has thrown on your back recently? And how will you start shaking it off today? Your honest answer might be the very courage someone else needs to read. I'll be back again with another powerful story. Until then, stay strong, stay hopeful, stay grateful, be patient, and remember, shake off the dust, step on it, and rise.